Up next, and every Monday at 3 p.m. Eastern, tune in to Grand Theft Auto Biographies with Guinness Walker. And don't forget Grand Theft Auto Geographies, Fridays at 9 a.m. Eastern. Only on Weazel, confirming your prejudices.
Warning, this program is entirely fictional, made by a sole Canadian man. All characters and events in the show, including the host, even those that are based on real people, are entirely fictional. The following program contains mature subject matter. Viewer discretion is advised.
America. The land of the free. Home of the brave. And the stupid.
Do you think you're so smart? No!
And the criminally insane. The United States has seen its fair share of gangbangers, mobsters, and psychotics who've roamed our beloved streets, causing untold chaos, destruction, and corruption. Tonight, on Grand Theft Auto Biographies. Painkillers, fratricide, and intimidation. These are the tools and coping mechanisms for tonight's subject. We will examine a man at odds with his countrymen, his business partners, and his own psyche, and the many acts of cruelty, betrayal, and violence that he would commit or hire others to commit for him to stay alive and dominant in the Liberty City underworld. We will follow a man from the red blocks of the former Soviet Union to the crime-filled streets of the worst city in America, and his ambitious but ultimately stifled attempt to become one of the most powerful and feared Russian mobsters Liberty had ever seen. A man whose calculated and disconnected approach to survival saw to the deaths of many of his friends, and even his own war-bonded brother, Dimitri Rascalov. This episode of Grand Theft Auto Biographies brought to you by my incredible supporters on Patreon. Sign up today to get all the music from my shows, early access, and a spot in the credits. If you enjoy this series, consider subscribing and hitting that bell icon to get notifications of new uploads. It costs you nothing, and it helps the channel tremendously. Thank you for watching, and enjoy the show. Dimitri Rascalov was born in 1969 in Russia, in the former Soviet Union under Leonid Brezhnev, and what would later be dubbed by Mikhail Gorbachev as the era of stagnation. Our regular viewers are likely aware that even with American-born criminals, obtaining detailed information on many of the subjects covered here on GTA Biographies is difficult, due to black ink or contradictory information available. With this knowledge, it should come as no surprise that the details of Raskalov's early life in Russia are very difficult to pin down, but we believe he may have been born in and around the capital city of Moscow, and that he began his criminal life very early. It is unknown exactly when Dimitri began employing violence and manipulation to get what he wanted, but we were able to confirm that at some point he joined the Soviet Navy, likely out of obligation due to mandatory service laws. Given Dimitri's birth year and the fact that he is not known to have attended post-secondary education, his conscription was likely between 1987 and 1991, where he would have fought in the Soviet-Afghan War, though this is speculation on our part, and we could not confirm if Rascalov saw active combat, or simply served his years in training exercises as all able-bodied Russian men were obligated to do at the time. Whatever the case, sometime after joining the Navy, but before the fall of the Soviet Union, Rascalov would meet and befriend a fellow soldier, Mikhail Faustin, and form a strong wartime bond with him as they presumably fought together, or at the very least, served together. Being meeker and generally smaller in size but wickedly clever, Mikhail and Dimitri would work together in a brain and brawn relationship, with Mikhail protecting Dimitri and Dimitri helping Mikhail to determine the smartest course of action. Unfortunately for the two men, for unknown reasons, perhaps due to attempts at selling drugs in the Navy, Mikhail and Dimitri would both be arrested and forced to serve time in a Siberian prison camp together. During this time, Mikhail would continue to serve as a protector for Dimitri, further solidifying their bond as Faustin kept potential sexual deviance away from his friend, who would otherwise struggle to stay alive in the harsh and brutal conditions of Soviet-era Siberian prison camps. Likely during his time inside, Dimitri and Mikhail would even get matching tattoos on the palms of their hands, indicating their bond as brothers for life. Eventually, the duo would be released from prison, we speculate, following the collapse of the Soviet Union in December of 1991, though we could not confirm this. And immediately, they would begin working together in criminal exploits. The two would start as small-time drug dealers selling hash, mostly to tourists in Moscow's Red Square, where the two would base their operation at the time. Due to the dates and details being obscure, we do not know for certain, but we believe that it was at or around this time that Dimitri, and likely Mikhail as well, met smuggler and human trafficker Ray Bulgarin, who likely helped expand Faustin and Raskalov's operation by moving drugs into America for further profits. Bulgarin, who had also grown up in Soviet Russia and immigrated to America sometime in the late 80s and been subsequently deported, may have provided Mikhail and Dimitri with their first connections to the United States, as he returned to his smuggling operation in Europe following his deportation, moving people across the Adriatic Sea. While still living in Russia and presumably expanding their business interests, Dimitri would be arrested and convicted of murder more than once, but managed to walk free for unknown reasons, but we speculate due to his own connections with Russian organized crime. Eventually, both men would seek new opportunities, perhaps due to fears of persecution or prosecution under the new Russian Federation, or perhaps simply to exploit a new market, and by the mid-1990s, moved to Liberty City, Liberty State, on the east coast of the United States of America. Dimitri and Mikhail had reached the fabled land of opportunity. Arriving in America, Dimitri and Mikhail would begin establishing their organization as one of the predominant Russian organized crime outfits in the city. The Faustin Mafia, largely under direction from the more tactical and level-headed Dimitri, would expand across much of Broker, taking control of Hove Beach, Firefly Island, and other scattered territories in southern Broker. Early on, Faustin and Rascalov would encounter the other, more powerful Russian mafia operating in Hove Beach, the Petrovics, under Kenny Petrovic, and form a peaceful business relationship with them, cooperating in their control of the largely Slavic immigrant populations of the borough's southern districts. In 1998, Dimitri would be arrested for extortion in connection with the Faustin Mafia, but walk free once again, only to be arrested a second time just 2 years later for hijacking, for which it seems Rascalov once again served no time. Instead, Rascalov would continue to assist in growing his and Faustin's wealth and influence, acquiring new fronts in the Perestroika Cabaret Club, and later, Comrades Bar on Mohawk Avenue. They would also begin employing more and more underbosses and enforcers to diversify their criminal reach, hiring Vladimir Glebov to operate Comrades, as well as employing men like Ivan Bichkov, Sergei, and Andrei, who had been a friend of Mikhail Sargent when he and Dimitri were stationed in Vladivostok. Dimitri would be placed in charge of security for Faustin's operation and begin helping his friend with their expansion as a criminal business. With their empire expanding and an uneasy peace dawning on their reign, Dimitri would slowly begin to develop an addiction to painkillers as a means of remaining calm, while Faustin allowed his demons to get the best of him and was slowly consumed by his own growing addictions to alcohol and cocaine. Liberty City, 2008. By this time in the city's and Dimitri's history, organized crime had established deep roots across much of the city's Slavic districts, with Dimitri and Faustin's Bratva remaining the second most powerful Russian mob in Broker. Eventually, a gun for hire working for Vladimir Glebov by the name of Niko Bellic would gain the attention of Dimitri and Mikhail when he kills Vlad out of revenge for him sleeping with Niko's cousin Roman's bride-to-be. Oddly enough, it would be Dimitri who would take the hardline stance when deciding what to do with Niko, initially demanding Niko be killed for icing Vlad, but Faustin would see the opportunity in the Serbian gunman and instead have Andrei kidnap the Bellic cousins to be delivered to his basement for interrogation.
Wake up! We had to gag him to stop the screaming. You shouldn't have brought them here, Andrei.
Why not? You've been a bad boy, Mr. Balkan. And the boss is not happy.
Oh no, I shit my pants.
Not yet, but you will. Who are you working for?
My cousin, Roman. Don't be an idiot.
That's not good enough. I'm gonna saw off your fucking arm. Speak!
Okay. You're dead like sit up the ass. What do you want me to say, huh?
Very funny. Do you think you're so smart?
No! I'm tied up in the basement a long way from home, while some ape threatens me with a hacksaw. So no, I'm not that smart.
Shut the fuck up! My fucking wife is watching television. Good Lord. What are you doing?
Nothing. I mean, I was finding out who he is.
And? Who is he?
He is his cousin.
You were about to cut up some guy in my house, making all that noise to find out he's his cousin. Where did you find this idiot?
He was a friend of your sergeant when we were in Vladivostok.
He's an imbecile. So, Niko Bellic, you think it's okay to kill my employees?
If he is an asshole, yes.
I agree. Asshole, look at me like I'm a piece of shit.
Боже мой.
Now listen, Niko Bellic. You are very lucky Vlad was an idiot. The only reason I keep him around is because I fucked his sister. Look at me. You owe me. I got some digheads in my neighborhood trying to run a shipment, yeah?
And we found a buyer for the TVs.
Yes, a buyer. But you got to get them for us so we can make the sale.
Can you untie Roman?
Хорошо.
Shut up, Roman. Roman, shut up!
Shut him up!
Shut up, Roman! Roman, shut up! Fuck!
Mikhail!
Shut up!
Stop shooting people, you maniac!
My wife doesn't like when people shout!
Whatever! You better get those screens soon!
Or I will personally pull your cousin's stitches out, one by one, and watch his guts spill onto the floor. Clean this shit up.
Listen, we'll take care of your cousin, but you better get a police car. And then you call me.
Roman! Roman!
Go! I'll take care of him.
Fuck!
When Faustin's temper sees him murder Andre for trivial reasons and shoot Roman in the stomach, Dimitri would begin to fear that no amount of reasoning could reach his friend despite his efforts. He would assure Niko that he would keep Roman alive and implore him to retrieve a shipment of stolen TVs under the protection of the Petrovics. Niko would successfully locate the van of TVs and procure the goods for the Faustin Mafia, with his services now being employed by Faustin and Dimitri to make up for the losses incurred by Vlad's death.
I've left the van where you say. How's Roman?
He's okay. A little scarred, but okay. You did good. Mikhail needs someone like you. Stop by and see him sometime.
Dimitri would begin to work with Niko while attempting to keep the increasingly deranged Faustin calm and avoid further losses from further conflict, with the Petrovics or the law. Faustin's anger and intimidating presence would begin to cause doubts for Dimitri, who continued to try convincing Mikhail of the need to play by the rules of organized crime etiquette, incurring further wrath from Faustin when he implied that their problems were all a result of Mikhail's recklessness.
Lay off that stuff.
Why?
Because it clouds your judgment. Not now, it's not the time.
My judgment. That's a good one. I'm a fool. A drunken fool.
Niko's here. We're going to go take care of that guy. I take it you won't be joining us?
Make him suffer. People forget pain so quickly.
You need to calm down with that stuff.
Calm? Why? So I can be like you, Mr. Barbiturate? Always so fucked up on painkillers, you don't give a shit?
You need to calm down.
Where would we be now if I was calm like you?
Let me guess. In a prison camp in Siberia, or selling hash to tourists in Red Square, or still in the Navy. Which is it today?
Be careful, Dimitri. Be fucking careful.
You be careful. You're getting crazy.
That's the way it works. I am angry. You are calm. I scare you reason. It works.
Yes, but you've angered the wrong people.
Blah, blah,
Too many
blah,
bodies,
blah,
too much
blah,
attention
blah,
will be
blah.
dealt with if we don't start playing by the rules.
I've angered people. Me? Not we. Strange. When I give out the money, it's us. When I have to push people, it's me. All alone. Don't think I cannot see through you. After all we've done together.
You're getting delusional. Look, we have to go.
I fucking love you.
Yes, yes.
I fucking love you.
I know.
Yes. But you treat me like a child. I run things my way. Dimitri Rascalov. My fucking way! Get out of my sight! Or I fucking kill you!
I'm not saying don't run things your way. I'm saying become. Here. Take a couple of these.
What are you still doing here? I said get out of my sight!
Rascalov would personally show Nico the ropes of Russian crime in Liberty City when he had Nico serve as additional muscle when confronting a man named Joseph, who had been withholding payments to the Faustin Mafia after starting up a side business making and selling online pornography.
No, he's...
Better not be filming.
No, they're just having a meeting, I swear.
Get out of the way!
Fuck.
You see? They don't make them like that no more. That's a vintage Bush. If it wasn't for that, I'd say this weren't worth transferring to DVD.
Hey, Joseph! You think you can expand your business interests, make these pornos and sell them, and we won't know about it,
We
huh?
was just waiting till the books was closed at the end of the financial year. Then we was gonna cut you
Your
in.
books are closed until you pay us our cut. Nico, take this and cover Joseph.
Dimitri would make his disposition and business-oriented mindset clear to Nico by demonstrating the necessity of restraint, and be impressed enough with Nico's equally level-headed performance to introduce him to the underground firearms trade and broker, to keep Nico armed and dangerous for enforcing their rule, despite only days prior proposing that Nico himself be killed.
Thank you for your help, Nico. Come to see us at the club soon. Mikhail will be cool by then.
Problems for Dimitri and the Faustin Mafia would only continue to accumulate when Dimitri is told by Sergei that forces in the federal government, likely the FIB, had been authorized to tap the organization's phones after learning about a shipment of marijuana they had stolen. Furious, Faustin would insist that someone in their organization was ratting them out, despite Dimitri's position of it being their own fault due to sloppy behavior, which Dimitri blamed squarely on Mikhail.
Okay, nema problema.
Hi, Dimitri.
Hey, Dimitri, I took care of that thing for you.
Very good. I'm proud of you. Good.
Dimitri, thank you for taking care of that thing for me.
No problem.
Dimitri, hey, meet my girl Natasha.
Oh,
So
my
nice
pleasure.
to meet you.
Faustin would immediately decide that the rat must be Lenny Petrovic, who had direct ties to Dimitri, being his cousin's boyfriend, as well as direct connections with their partners, being the son of Kenny Petrovic. With a small feud already boiling to the surface following Nico's hijacking of a Petrovic van, Faustin would decide to further enrage his fellow mobsters by hiring Nico to kill Lenny, while Dimitri tried desperately to talk Mikhail out of the decision.
Girls, can you give us a minute, huh? Please.
Get out of here. Keep it warm. I won't be too long. So, what is it?
We've got police trouble. The feds or someone are all over us. Sergei told me that a friend of his in the courts told him they've been authorized to tap our phones and they know about the pot we stole.
Shit. Who is the rat?
It's no one. It's just the way we've been behaving. Making too much noise. This was inevitable. We're going to have to calm things right down for a while.
It's that fucking guy, yeah. I know it is. I saw it in his eyes. You know? That guy. That guy who bought the coke. But he didn't buy the
That's
pot.
Lenny. He's my cousin's boyfriend. It's not him. Yes, he's a moron. Yes, but he's okay.
I don't trust him.
What? I just told you.
He knows too much. You, kill him.
Are you sure?
Sure? No, I'm not. Right now I'm wondering if it's him or you. It could be you.
Think for a second. This has been going on for months.
Think! Look where your thinking has got us. You were in charge of security. Good job. Well done, Dimitri. You pathetic idiot. You, prove you're loyal. Go and kill the guy.
Don't question my loyalty.
Then don't question my orders. He lives on Guantanamo Avenue in Bohan. Head up there and call me. Me personally, when you get there.
Mikhail, please don't do this.
Shut up! Shut the fuck up!
I'm begging
I
you.
said shut the fuck up!
Please don't
Go.
do this.
Why don't you
You
listen?
want to play games? This
Hey,
is
give me a
not a
break.
game. You
Stop.
have to play
I
by
said
the
stop.
rules.
When Nico loyally carries out Faustin's orders and kills Lenny, Dimitri would be forced to do damage control for the family, meeting with Kenny personally to try and smooth the situation over, but having little success. He would try one final time to talk Mikhail down from waging his new war against the Petrovics, but be dismissed completely, with Faustin kicking Dimitri out of his home as he gave Niko Bellic new orders to bomb a Petrovic-controlled garage in Bohan.
What did you want?
I want you to teach people to listen to me.
You want him to get us the money!
Fuck the money.
Mikhail, please calm down. We're already in a lot of trouble. I don't know if I can smooth things over with Petrovic.
Fuck him and fuck you. Who are you, my daddy? Get the fuck out of my house.
Mikhail!
Get out!
Once again, Niko Bellic would prove his value and loyalty as a criminal contractor and deliver the truck, filled with explosives, to the garage in Chase Point, activating the bomb rigged inside right before making a mad dash for safety. In a blaze of fire, Mikhail Faustin would seal his fate and put the final nail on the coffin Dimitri had been trying to keep him out of. Faced with a difficult decision to kill his best friend or die, Dimitri would choose himself, prioritizing survival above all else when meeting with Kenny Petrovic to discuss Faustin's fate. Kenny would propose that Niko Bellic, the one to kill his son, be the one to kill Mikhail, and that should he accept, Bellic and Dimitri would be allowed to live without further retributions.
What's the problem?
What do you think?
Mikhail, Mr. Faustin.
Uh-huh. You're given a choice. Kill your best friend or die. What do you do?
And there is no way out?
Not now. Not after you killed Petrovic's son.
You don't have any family. You could run.
Wherever you go, people will find you if they want to badly enough. And for this they want blood.
But you and Mikhail, you have so much history.
Sure.
Well, I killed the boy, so they want me too.
No. I told them you were a hired gun. And they said as long as you were the one to kill him, you'd be spared.
So that's the way it is.
Yes, that's the way it is. He'll be leaving his house in a little while and heading for the club. Do what you have to do. You know, if there's one thing I've learned, it's that we must obey the rules of the game. We can pick the game, Niko Bellic, but we cannot change the rules. See you later.
Niko would indeed manage to kill the deranged mob boss at the Perestroika Cabaret Club after a tense confrontation and subsequent shootout to the roof of the building. With Faustin dead, Dimitri would barely acknowledge any grief publicly and would immediately begin working to make things right with his new partners. We believe it may have been around this time, while meeting with Petrovic and the other elements of Slavic organized crime and broker, that Dimitri learned of the return of his friend and possible former business partner, Ray Bulgarin, who had arrived in Liberty City in search of Niko Bellic and new opportunity in America. Bulgarin would presumably inform Rascalov of Bellic's supposed slights against him, with Ray believing Niko responsible for a ship lost at sea during his time as a smuggler in the Adriatic. With zero reservations towards eliminating Niko, Dimitri would use the auspices of payment for Faustin's assassination to lure him to a warehouse in East Hook, unaware that Niko had brought backup.
Hey, Niko! Glad you could make it.
Yes. You got the money?
Sure. But I just wanted to say how grateful me and my bosses are for what you did.
Good.
Yes. And I just wanted to check something with you.
Okay.
You are Niko Bellic, correct?
What is this?
And you used to work the coast in the Mediterranean, smuggling people into Italy.
I don't know what you're talking about.
But you messed up. And left a lot of bad debt. You left a good friend of mine out of pocket. Big time.
Hello, Niko.
Hello, Mr. Bulgarin.
Yes. Where is our money?
I don't know. I didn't rob you.
Really?
We were busted a mile off the coast. I had to swim for my life. I don't know what happened. I nearly drowned.
My heart is bleeding.
I did my best! I didn't fuck up!
Nico and little Jacob would manage to survive the encounter and shoot their way through Ray and Dimitri's forces, but escape without killing either man, forcing the Russians to regroup and begin smoking the Bellic cousins out of Hove Beach by force. With full control of the formerly Faustin Mafia under his belt, Dimitri would order the destruction of Nico's apartment and his cousin Roman's taxi business, no longer burdened by Faustin's irrational decision-making and no longer in need of Nico's services.
I've got nothing left! Not my home, not my business, nothing! They took it all!
I'm sorry, Roman. I'm really sorry, but we have to go.
With Nico temporarily dealt with, Dimitri would begin to grow Faustin's small-time Hove Beach mob into a truly dominant player in the game of Liberty City criminal operations. Under Dimitri's leadership, and likely with substantial aid from Ray Bulgarin thanks to his many connections as a powerful mob boss himself back in Russia, the Rascalov Mafia would expand far beyond the dreary shores of Firefly Island and Hove Beach, taking new territory and making new moves across Algonquin, and even crossing into Alderney State, to cement his position as a man one should not trifle with. Rascalov would begin importing cocaine off a new distributor and have his men begin selling on the streets of Liberty to turn a profit, but at some point be arrested, along with a business associate of his, due to his rising infamy as a force to be reckoned with. Using his connections, Dimitri would make bail immediately, and serve no time once again, instead returning to his operation and soon after learning of Roman Bellic's gambling problem, which saw the smooth-talking Serb attend backroom games regularly. Using one of his associates, Dimitri would devise a new plan for getting to Nico Bellic by using another addict to get what he wanted in Ashley Butler, notorious coke user and on-again, off-again girlfriend to the vice president of the Lost MC, Johnny Klebitz. Dimitri's men would use Butler's substantial debt to the Rascalov Mafia as leverage over Klebitz to force him into kidnapping Roman for the mob, to which he reluctantly agreed. With help from Malk of the Uptown Riders, Johnny K would intercept Roman as he left the gambling den in Schottler, tagging and bagging him for delivery to a warehouse in Bohan, where Dimitri's men would await Nico's inevitable arrival.
Somebody looking for a fat Slav with a bladder problem?
So, this is Roman Bellic? Not such a tough guy, eh? What is all this fuss about his cousin?
Listen, buddy. Ashley's square with you now. So do me a favor. Go easy on the fat man. I've seen some of the bodies you people drop into Humboldt.
Easy, Johnny. You saw the shit stains in the back seat. He's scared enough.
What happens to this shithead is none of your concern. You come with me.
Shit, Johnny. Yo, I gotta bounce. Be easy, man.
Despite their preparations and best efforts, however, Nico would manage to kill every single one of Dimitri's men at the warehouse and successfully rescue his cousin, only furthering Nico's hatred for Dimitri as both men continued to move up in their respective corners of the LC underground.
Thank you, cousin! You saved my life!
We should get out of here.
Over the course of roughly a few weeks, Dimitri would form a mutual business relationship with Giovanni Ancelotti of the Ancelotti crime family, based in Algonquin, and become the group's primary supply for cocaine. Not long after establishing this relationship, Nico would coincidentally get his first opportunity to strike back at Dimitri when one of his new employers, Phil Bell of the Alderney-based Pegorino family, tasks him with stealing a shipment of the Russians' coke as it arrived in a port from Vice City. Phil and Nico would personally kill all of Raskalov's guards watching the product and escape with thousands of dollars of profit to North Holland, enraging Dimitri.
You handled yourself real good back then. Kept your head. That's a valuable trait. Thank you. See you later.
By sheer coincidence, their criminal paths would cross again not long after, when Dimitri tries to blackmail the deputy mayor, Bryce Dawkins, to gain control of several powerful construction unions in the city, and Nico interferes. Dawkins, a surface-level right-wing politician, would be pressured by the Rascalov Mafia into capitulating by threatening to reveal his same-sex relationship with the socialite Bernie Crane.
Where's Bryce? We wanted to speak to him, not his rent boys.
Listen, you're going to speak to your boss and tell him to back off.
If that's the way you want to play it, fine. Bryce will be all over Weazel News tomorrow morning.
You know what? Maybe the best way to get the message to your boss is for me to send him your heart.
Yeah, tough guy. How'd you like that?
Dimitri Rascalov only asks once. Your lover's career is over.
Fucking Dimitri.
Unfortunately for Dimitri, Niko Bellic had recently reconnected with Crane, having served in the Bosnian Wars with him many years prior, when Bernie still went by the name Florian Kravich, and would assist Bernie in dealing with Dimitri's blackmail attempts. After killing the men Dimitri initially tasked with handling Bryce, Rascalov would become furious at Niko's constant interference, and send a hit squad after both men as they attempted to enjoy a day of boating in the Humboldt River.
Ahoy, sailor! Cute guys off the starport brow! Scratch that! Not so cute! Różni Rusi!
Let me see. They don't look like they're on a pleasure cruise.
The assassins would once again fail to kill Niko or Bernie Crane, and just days or possibly a couple weeks later, Niko would once again prove his talents at disrupting Dimitri's business interests when his newest employer, John Gravelli of the Gravelli crime family, the most powerful of the 5 Italian Liberty City crime families, hires Niko to protect politician Bobby Jefferson. Jefferson, one of the few Liberty politicians willing to speak out against the Rascalov Mafia's growing influence in the city, despite the dangers, would be prepared to give an important speech at City Hall, with Niko being hired by Gravelli to serve as a bodyguard. Despite Dimitri's best efforts to catch and kill Jefferson, Niko would successfully escort him to City Hall alive, allowing Bobby to make his speech and begin bringing further pressure down on the growing Rascalov crime family.
Another roadblock? This definitely wasn't mentioned on the traffic report. I'm gonna go and move the barriers.
Come on, Mr. Jefferson! Let's get out of here!
Adding insult to injury, Niko would continue to work with Gravelli to undermine the Russian Mafia's interest, as they gained further notoriety in the city and became the #1 target of nearly every other organized crime outfit in Liberty State at the time. Niko would deliver a final crippling blow to Dimitri when he destroyed a large shipment of cocaine being processed at a compound in Alderney State, after violently pushing his way inside, and once again killing dozens of Rascalov's men, costing him millions. With stolen or lost product and further pressure from the city government and other criminal operations, Dimitri at this time would attempt to broker a new deal with the intention of maximizing his and his allies' profits, as well as make plans to finally kill Niko Bellic and rid himself of his disruptive presence. Dimitri would presumably approach Don Jimmy Pegorino personally with a proposal to serve as a middleman to help the Pegorinos move a shipment of heroin, which had changed hands multiple times over the last few months, and ended up in Jimmy's possession thanks once again to Niko Bellic. With heavy pressure from Pegorino, Niko would eventually, reluctantly, agree to help oversee the deal with Dimitri, at least initially, before having a change of heart after discussing his options with his cousin as well as his lover. Though Dimitri himself intended to betray Niko yet again had he accepted the deal, Niko would once more beat Dimitri to the punch, and opt instead to ambush his crew loading the heroin onto the platypus, docked in East Hook, seeking that rare dish we all know is best served cold. Caught off guard, Dimitri would be confronted by a vengeful Niko, who manages to push his way into the ship's cargo hold for a final confrontation with Rascalov after killing nearly all of his men. Dimitri would try to kill Niko himself and even attempt to save his own life one last time by warning Niko of the consequences of his death, but none of it would matter to Bellic.
Hey, Dimitri, I don't think I'll be doing this deal with you. We have other business to finish.
Niko! It's been a long time. I thought your time in America might have calmed you down.
America does not change everyone. Look at you. You arrived in this country, a spineless rat who would sell out his friends. That is what you will be when you die here.
Заткни этого балтийского хуя!
Niko would execute Dimitri where he stood, and finally put an end to the Rascalov Mafia, which over the following days and weeks would mostly be absorbed into Ray Bulgarin's operation, or dissolved.
To learn a lesson. Actions have consequences. You screwed me over. Now you're paying for it. Shame that'll be the second last thing that goes into your head. Goodbye.
You're the one who's going to learn a lesson. People aren't going to be happy if you kill me. Блять, ёбаный!
I've never been popular. I don't mean to start now.
It is worth noting that in our research, there were some sparse sources who swore up and down that our conclusion as to how Dimitri was killed was completely inaccurate, claiming that the highly publicized and chaotic battle that Nico was reported to have taken place in across much of the city had been against Dimitri rather than the more accepted narrative of Jimmy Pecorino. We must contend that while determining exact details in many of these events is difficult, we are highly confident that the man Nico Bellic killed on Happiness Island was not Dimitri Rascalov, and that the Russian hustler's story had its true ending in the exact same place that Nico had begun his journey in America, the dreary immigrant-fueled docks of East Hook. Dimitri Rascalov was motivated by primarily one simple thing: survival, at any cost. Having grown up in Soviet-era Russia and served in the Navy, likely against his will, as well as serving time in a Siberian prison camp where he was very nearly violated and only escaped unscathed thanks to the help of Mikhail Faustin, Dimitri was a cold and fearful man who cared only for himself at the end of the day. Though capable of forming real relationships, at least on the surface, Dimitri was always quick to rob, manipulate, or outright kill those who threatened him in any capacity, often using his cunning rather than brute force to stay alive, and leaving the fighting to Faustin. He is in many ways a classic psychopath, appearing to be calm and approachable to the average unhinged killer of Liberty City, but being a calculated, malicious, and petty murderer beneath the surface. Throughout his life, Dimitri prided himself on being the calm one in his business relationship to Mikhail, but this was likely due mostly to powerful painkillers that Rascalov consumed regularly, as well as his crippling inner fear of being done in by one of the many people that he and Mikhail pissed off on a daily basis. Though Dimitri would try, seemingly with conviction, to stop Mikhail from upsetting the wrong people and remaining calm, he would also make the decision to save himself and see Faustin killed with his approval, with little to no demonstrated remorse or reluctance. This may be proof that Dimitri was not completely heartless, or it may be simply further evidence that he always prioritized number one, wanting to keep Faustin alive merely for his protection and disposing of him at the first convenient opportunity. On top of being deceitful and concerned primarily with self-preservation, Dimitri was also, like many criminals, a hypocrite of the worst variety, frequently attempting to claim the logical and even vaguely moral high ground when planning the murders of his best friend or loyal business associates. The only line Dimitri seemed unwilling to cross was the dynamic of criminal power politics, having a strict adherence in his own mind of playing the game by the rules, and refusing to cross those above him, with more power than he was capable of dealing with, such as Ray Bulgarin. Despite this apparent code of criminal ethics, Dimitri had no problem betraying those he worked with, when it was convenient or profitable for him, and showed little to no room for true compassion, only staying his hand when it served to make him more money than outright slaughter. Unlike his hot-headed partner Mikhail Faustin, Dimitri's decisions to betray, coerce, and extort were always calculated and well-planned, and rarely ever motivated by raw emotion. Dimitri would personally transform the struggling second-fiddle operation that was the Faustin Bratva into the fastest-growing and most feared organization in the city, in the space of only a few months, and very nearly took full political control of the city in his attempts to rein in the deputy mayor, which likely would have only further escalated had he been successful. At the end of the day, Dimitri was a deeply distrustful, greedy, and callous individual who in a very short span of time rose to prominence as one of the most feared and hated individuals in both Liberty and Alderney states, with the most powerful of the 5 dominant Algonquin crime families personally becoming invested in Dimitri's downfall, which they orchestrated with help from Nico Bellic. Dimitri's ambitious and cautious nature when conducting business may have seen him rise even further beyond what he achieved, but he made the fatal mistake of underestimating a Serbian immigrant with a capacity for death beyond anything Dimitri alone could ever have matched. Dimitri Rascalov was a 6-foot-tall Russian man with presumed family roots in the heart of Soviet Russia. While tall and capable of fighting back or intimidating when necessary, Dimitri was a slender, skinny man with a penchant for consuming large amounts of painkillers, and possibly other illegal substances, which likely only exacerbated his pale and cracked complexion. He was not known for dressing particularly lavishly, though this may have not been from a lack of trying, but a sense of priority. Dimitri was clearly fond of constantly growing his own wealth, but at least during the brief period which saw him rise in prominence, he was not known to don more than a simple business tie, suit, and prescription glasses, and having a simple, dirty blonde haircut and goatee. Dimitri's criminal record from his life in the Soviet Union and briefly the Russian Federation could not be obtained for this program due to a plethora of red tape. Though we always endeavor to give you as much information as is available to us here at GTA Biographies, the reality is that even with American criminals examined on this program, obtaining the full details of their criminal exploits when many of them were never fully charged for their crimes can be exceedingly difficult. In the case of Russian-born immigrants to the US, the paper trail becomes even harder to follow. We were, however, able to compile a list of known crimes committed by Rascalov both inside and outside of Russia, thanks to an anonymous source from within the Liberty City's criminal underworld, who asked to have their identity kept secret in order to avoid any potential repercussions. All of that out of the way, let's look at the rap sheet we have been able to come up with from one of the most underhanded criminals in Liberty City history. Dealing drugs in Moscow with Mikhail Faustin. At least 2 murders while living in Russia, possibly more. Illegally immigrating to the US by exploiting the 1990s US immigration treaty. Conspiracy attempted murder when asking for Niko Belik's death after he kills Vlad Glebov. Conspiracy accessory murder when Niko likely kills 2 of Kenny Petrovic's men. Conspiracy theft when Niko steals a shipment of TVs for their organization. Extortion, accessory assault, and accessory distribution of illegal pornography when confronting Joseph with Niko. Possession of illegal firearms. Conspiracy accessory possession of illegal firearms when introducing Niko to the underground weapons market. Drug distribution for the Faustin crime family. Conspiracy accessory theft and possession of marijuana. Accessory murder when Niko kills Lenny Petrovic for Faustin. Accessory to terrorism and murder when Mikhail Faustin orders Niko to destroy Kenny Petrovic's garage. Conspiracy accessory murder when hiring Niko to kill Mikhail for Kenny Petrovic. Conspiracy accessory attempted murder when ambushing Niko and little Jacob at a warehouse in East Hook. Conspiracy arson and possibly attempted murder when ordering the destruction of Roman and Niko's apartments and Roman's taxi business. Conspiracy blackmail and kidnapping when hiring Johnny K to abduct Roman Belik by threatening Ashley Butler. Conspiracy accessory attempted murder when ordering his men to kill Niko trying to save his cousin. Conspiracy blackmail when attempting to pressure Bryce Dawkins to giving him full control of construction unions in the city. Conspiracy attempted murder when ordering a group of men to try and kill Niko Belik and Bernie Crane. Conspiracy attempted murder of a public figure when failing to assassinate Bobby Jefferson. Drug distribution when Niko destroys a cocaine shipment in Alderney. Drug distribution and attempted murder when loading the heroin in East Hook and attempting to kill Niko. As you should come to expect with the subject of this series, this list is not at all comprehensive, and almost certainly fails to account for the numerous crimes Dimitri committed which went unreported or were never even known about due to being handled discreetly. While we always strive here at GTA Biographies to bring you the most accurate, up-to-date information on the criminals we explore as possible, one must never forget that men such as Dimitri Rascalov represent the darkest elements humanity has to offer, and while their estimated criminal tallies may remain just that, there is no doubt in the minds of their many victims as to the seriousness of their criminal convictions. What does one prioritize when climbing the metaphorical ladder of the criminal enterprise in America? Perhaps the answer is not a simple one, but for a man like Dimitri Rascalov, it was always yourself. America is a dangerous place, folks, and so is Russia. But if there's one thing you could take away from all of this, it's that nowhere is safe, and your delusional hyperparanoia must somehow therefore be justified. Stay indoors, people. You never know if that shifty guy you saw on a corner in Red Square will one day terrorize an American city by exploiting their terrible prohibition laws. I'll see you next time on another edition of Grand Theft Auto Biographies with me, your host, Guinness Walker. Thank you for watching.